We've got some new reports I wanted to talk about with regards to the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that are being delayed and how this all might really have to do with Doctor Strange 2. Currently some reshoots going on with that, and while I definitely don't think that there is cause to panic about the MCU slate or Doctor Strange, there's definitely some stuff worth discussing, so let's do that right now. What's up, everybody? It's Josh coming at you from Nerd Adventures Tower. I hope this video finds you well, and I want to just kind of re-emphasize the point that I am not here to spread misinformation or try to panic about the Marvel Cinematic Universe's movies being pushed back. They did shift. This announcement came out on Monday. It was kind of a crazy thing when it happened, and there have been many people shuffling to try to figure out what is actually going on with these movies. Why are they being delayed? And a lot of this, I think, does have to do with Doctor Strange 2. I sort of called this almost immediately. Just, we've been covering over here at the channel a lot of the different plot leaks and rumors for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and it's a very ambitious film. In fact, some of the most common comments that we get in those videos are people talking about how that's a whole lot of stuff to throw into the movie. I don't see how they could do this in 2.5 hours and make this thing make sense. So I want to talk about that. I want to reference just things that other insiders and scoopers are saying. Grace Randolph just did a big video, which is going somewhat viral online, man. People just absolutely have a big problem with Grace Randolph. Some of you guys just got that triggered yourselves, but she did just do a big video and break some things down that she has heard. They do match up with some things that I have heard, so I'm going to talk about those kind of aspects. I want to talk about Ghost Rider coming in to this movie, another thing maybe being added in the reshoots, and just kind of talk about my overall perspective on what is happening. And again, why am I not panicking? So the official company line here, or what Kevin Feige said on the red carpet premiere of the Eternals, was that this is just a production shift, that they are just shifting things, and they are shifting Strange 6 weeks into the future. So instead of having a 3-month gap between MCU movies, you'll have a 5-month gap in between MCU movies, and it's sort of being downplayed by Feige, which you would expect. There were a couple of trade articles that have heard from sources at Disney that this was a domino effect, a cascading effect of several different factors. Some people were curious, does this have to do with the looming strike? Now, some of you guys are like, whoa, I thought the strike was over with. Technically not over with yet, as the deal still needs to be ratified by the different union members, and we don't know how they're actually feeling about this. There's still potential for a strike, even though a lot of reports out there are saying that everything is Gucci.
That's what it said on the news, and the news never lies.
There were people saying it is this because of the Batman. Are they so freaked out about the Batman that they want to move everything away from it? And I don't believe that for a second. I feel like Marvel's really committed to having these really good products, but their pedigree is as such that I don't really think they fear many movies or other studios out there, just period, point blank. However, it is sort of wrapped up in that idea of wanting to do these really, really good movies, that they want to make sure they have the time to do them. So in Grace Randolph's report, she is talking about how they're currently doing a lot of reshoots for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And this we've actually known about for some time. In fact, a lot of the reports that started to come out about Professor Xavier, the idea that maybe that's going to be Sir Patrick Stewart in that movie, and other things around that, I was literally told by some people that, well, what was going on there was Marvel Studios doing things in reshoots that were going to recontextualize different things that they shot during principal photography. And there were some people that were so out of the loop about the X-Men being in the movie that the only explanation for as to how X-Men were going to show up in the movie had to do with perhaps Marvel using reshoots to try to hide things, right? So, we've talked about this before, but it's this idea that kind of comes from the Luke Skywalker reveal in The Mandalorian Season 2, where they shot certain things on set and used like Plo Koon to sort of distract and hide the real story from the different actors that were on set. And then they went into post and they replaced Plo Koon with Luke Skywalker. And we felt like Marvel was maybe doing that with some of the big reveals and secrets for Multiverse of Madness, including Professor X, because this was something that, all throughout the time that Doc Strange was shooting, this was not something really substantiated as a rumor until the reshoots started to happen. And it did seem like that was something they were injecting after principal photography to sort of keep the surprise. Now, interestingly enough, in the report that Grace did yesterday, she talks about how there are some problems with the script and things that they are trying to tighten up from a story perspective. But she also is talking about how they want to inject even more cameos. And again, that perfectly matches up with things that we've been reporting for a while now, that they want to add a lot of the oomph or the juice in these reshoots to the movie. So now let's kind of pause on all that and talk about maybe one of these new things that's being injected into the movie. This comes from Atlanta Filmmaking, and they're talking about how Ghost Rider is going to be released from some kind of a prison during the events of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, something going on with all the different craziness of multiversal breaking and universal travel will do something to break Ghost Rider out of a prison. Now, we've also heard stuff about this movie maybe being connected to other supernatural stuff in the future, like Midnight Suns, the possibility of Werewolf by Night, and other, darker supernatural elements perhaps attached to the Ghost Rider thing showing up in other Marvel stuff. And because a lot of that stuff is being developed, it's very possible that scheduling conflicts with whoever they want to play Ghost Rider are part of the reason why they just need extra time. Like, here's my main point, is that I really do believe a lot of this has to do with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and just how crazy ambitious that movie is. I know that the reshoots on this film are very extensive. That's not necessarily a super bad sign, but I do think there's two main reasons which do echo what Grace said in her report before. Number one, yes, this is a whole lot of story and they likely are changing things. They're trying to make it make more sense, to flow better as a narrative. And it's even possible that some of the things you guys and me have been talking about with regards to the different leagues will ultimately be changed for the final product of the film. Now, there's things that I hope they keep. There's some things that I think are pretty weird that could ultimately change, but this is not an uncommon practice. Marvel does this quite a bit. They operate a lot like Pixar, where they do a lot of stuff by committee. They will allow a director to go do their thing, but then if that product doesn't flow perfectly, Feige mandates a lot of reshooting to try to fix problems and make it a very cohesive story. Thor Ragnarok, classically on the set, had a lot of ad-libbing, had a lot of just having fun, throwing crazy stuff out there. But then Taika Waititi, he even talks about this, how they sort of remake the movie and create it really during the reshoots, pulling everything together. It's an incredible process where all of those people really care about making great movies. Feige actually commented on how Thor Love and Thunder is taking way longer in reshoots than he actually wants, and there's probably just a lot of things that need tightened up for that film. So I think it's totally reasonable, completely understandable that, especially because Doctor Strange is likely going to set things up that will have an effect on many different projects moving forward, that if that product has to move or be delayed, everything has to be delayed. It's kind of one of the good and bad things about the MCU. It's all really, really connected, but that does sort of create that domino effect that they described with regards to production. I think the other part of this is, yes, they are trying to do some really crazy, ridiculous things and add probably even more wild cameos than we are currently thinking or talking about right now. And because of scheduling and just the world that we live in, these things are likely taking more time to iron out out than they were before. And so Feige likely just sat down, looked at everything and said, another 6 weeks and bumping everything would really give us the ability to absolutely nail it for this product, because this is a very important movie. It's going to set up a lot of stuff to come for Sony, for Marvel movies, for Marvel fans, expectations. It's a super, super big deal. It's I think probably the biggest movie since Avengers Endgame in what it looks to accomplish. So it just makes sense to me that they will need a little bit more time. I think here's the just overall reality of the situation. Things are way different now than they were when Feige was making all these movies and shows in a pre-pandy world. Things just take a little bit longer. There are supply chain issues. There are scheduling things. There are things that, even though in a lot of ways, there's different parts of the world that are doing much better now, there's still parts of the world that are not. There's different countries that have different policies with regards to public health, with regards to insurance policies. So it's literally just a totally different world that we live in when it comes to making these products. They had their plan. They felt like they had the allotted time, and now they're just saying, hey, some cushion here will help us just absolutely nail this thing and get this thing to the point where we want it to be. So again, I don't think it's something to panic about. I think Doctor Strange 2 is going to be amazing. I'm actually pumped that they're going to take this extra time to really nail this movie down and get it to where it needs to be, because it's a big freaking deal for Marvel fans, and I don't want it to be botched in any way, shape, or form. So there's the report, guys. What do you think of it? What do you think of Ghost Rider, Xavier, and other crazy things potentially being added during reshoots? What do you think about sort of my theory that this just has to do with the idea of production taking longer now and this movie being very, very ambitious? Just let me know your thoughts in general about the delay for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and the rest, seemingly, of Marvel's Phase 4. Would love to know your thoughts. Smash like on this video if you found it to be enjoyable. Subscribe to this channel if you want to see more of our content pop up in your recommended feed. And go check out our live streaming channel, man. We talk about all kinds of fun, nerdy things over on the live streaming channel. You can come over, give me a piece of your mind, ask me a question, directly if there's something you are really curious about. It's a really good time. Go check that out. Now, as I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and a nerdy day, and I'll see you in the next video.